Guys, it's Epic Underworlds, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about two trading card games I made last year and basically what happened to them. I'll be showing you all the cards and the design process in making these. So there's actually two versions. This was the first one. This was Underworlds 1.0 with basically a completely hand-drawn style with a digital template kind of masked over it. And then this was pretty much a mainly digital TCG, but some aspects were hand-drawn, and I'll get into that later. So I actually want to talk about this version of the game first because there's a lot more design aspects that went into this one. This was Underworlds 2.0, and this is basically, most of you guys know my channel for being Epic Underworlds. This was my pretty much biggest game that I created. There's a few more cards. I made a few sets for it, and it was a rather successful game. It built up quite a community, but I wanted to make a game that was better and easier to play. So I first went in my sketchbook, just designed a bunch of templates, designed a rule set, and then I made playtest cards. So the plan was to release 2 starter decks, so I made 2 starter decks worth of playtest cards, and then when I wanted to change up again, I made another playtest set, and then finally I playtested it one more time and I made these. These are just cards taped onto Magic the Gathering lands, I believe. But a lot of playtesting went into this, and I actually finished the 2 starter decks. So technically, I can still release that game if you guys really want me to, but it's not the main game I'm working on. But basically, all this work went up into making 2 really balanced starter decks, and I'll get into those archetypes. There was the Shank Tank and then the Grunt cards. The Grunts were kind of more of a dinosaur-style, aggro play style, and the Shank Tank were a bunch of fish who slowly built up over time. So I think the key takeaway from designing this game was I wanted to make it really fun, and I wanted to make the starter decks really fun and balanced to play with. So I just did playtesting after playtesting, and it actually turned out really good because I made it so the decks pretty much win 50% of the time. So I think that's a really good for 2 starter decks for the game. I actually started working on the first set too after the starter decks, but I ended up discontinuing it because I wanted to work on Perpetual Cosmos at the time, which was my completely handmade TCG. Let me get into all the cards. Essentially, how I made them, I would fine line the creature here and then take a picture, upload it to Photoshop, color it in, and then paste it in the template. So as you can see, Elber Slanks, for example, was hand-drawn at a time, but then I made them digital. So if you guys like that style, definitely go use it for your trading card game because it's an awesome style to still keep some hand-drawn aspects into your game, but still make it look digital. First card is Elber Slanks, and each card basically had a cost, attack, and a life value, and then an ability. The only reason I didn't continue with this game is because the rule system was really generic. You know, I just felt like it was too similar to a lot of other games, so I completely dropped it. But let's get into the cards. We got Elber Slanks, Dark Hour, Souljacker, Combat Engineer. You guys might recognize a lot of these characters from my previous card games. Gothic Dagger, Stories of the Night, Twin Moons, Spike Serpent, of course, one of my fan favorite cards. Light Matter, Forest Walker, Club of the Woodlands. I actually really like the design on this one. We got Instakill, Lost Mortor, Out of Touch, Elk's Serpent, probably my least favorite card in this version. And then I paid Stranded TCG to do me an artwork, and he did Cancel and then this one. So Cancel went into Epic Underworlds, and this artwork went into this game, and I did a cool effect by it. So that is made by Stranded TCG, super cool. Then we have Decaying Wasp, which was one of my favorites. Dark Matter to go with our Light Matter card. Sunken Skull, which is a fun gamble card, I think. Grapple Gun, Hand of the Dead. Not the best hand drawn there, but I was getting better. Creepy Crepus, Possessed Papers. This is a really fun card. Okay, and then we're getting into the archetypes. So we have the Grunt archetype, starting off with Scorch Grunt. So it was a really fun play style. You just have a big aggro play style. Just basically defeat your opponent as quickly as possible. Scorch Grunt, The Hunger, Nothing Stone, Grunt Remains, Raid Captain Grunt. He was like their boss card of the deck. Lanky Grunt, Little Grunt, who I really like. Battalion Grunt, Grunt Scout, Buff Grunt. And then we have a few more support cards. We have Grunt Tooth Dagger and Death Stare. And then we have kind of a side card to go along with the archetype. It's still a creature, it's just Grunt Egg. So he was kind of a weak cost creature that you could put in your deck. Grunt Stomp, that's Echo Man right there, getting stomped by a Grunt. Okay, so that rounds up the Grunt starter deck. And of course you would have multiple copies of each card, so it would be a pretty much 36 card deck. But the Shank Tank was my favorite one to design because I just really like drawing these type of fish. So Gary Todd III, this is actually a character by King Froggy. Albino Shankfish, Rupture Trident. And there's a lot of lore behind this deck specifically because for paper computer games, when I was into that, me and Froggy and a few others designed a lot of lore for this type of card. the shankfish itself. So you can have 7 copies of this card, and you basically just want as many shankfish to be killed in your discard pile, so then it buffs up every other shankfish. So it's a really fun playstyle. Really slow at the beginning, but goes crazy at the end. Derpfish, Shanklodon, my personal favorite, Shank Minnow, Rupture Artifact, Shankbait, Shankfish Behemoth, Clam Harvest. I really liked the concept on this card. I think it looks really cool. Mutated Shankfish and or Droplet Fish. So yeah, those were the 2 decks. We had the Shankfish and then the Grunt Hunt. So Shank Tank and Grunt Hunt, those were going to be the names. And I actually had the packaging and everything done. So if you guys really want me to sell this game, I can put it on the Game Crafter if you really want to. But it's not like this game is anything new. It's just, I think people would only really get it for the art style itself. So that was part 1 of the video. Let's go over to the other game. Okay, this was actually the predecessor to that game, but this one didn't have much play testing. It was basically, I was talking with my cousin and he was helping me design a TCG, and he's like, well, what if you did like layers of hell for summoning cards? So only layer 1 cards could be played on layer 1, layer 2 cards could be played on layer 1 and 2, and you would keep descending layers and layers as the game progressed and playing more powerful cards. So if you guys like that system, go use it for your card game, because I'm no longer using the system. But I really liked the transparent effect of the text box and how you could see the whole art. Definitely very old Wrath of Korzi kind of style, so that's what really inspired this game. But I was just trying to get better at using colored pencils, and now I think I'm a lot better because of this game. So we have Berry Gang, King Icicle Man. That's like the only time I've ever used Icicle Man. Usually I call him Ico Man because that's his correct name, but yeah. Cursed Stump, again, a lot of classic characters. And then you had a Bounty Hunter card, which you could basically hire during the game. They would be on the sidelines and either player could hire them, and the cost in the game would be soul tokens. Bone Stalker, this was actually the first card. You can tell what card is in the set by that right there, and this was going to be the beta set. So I can technically still release this game if you guys also want me to, but we got Holy Clyde Warrior. This was actually inspired by Stranded's game because he has a lot of holy cards, or I guess religious cards in that game. Droplet Scout, the worst artwork, but you know, people like Droplet Scout. Cursed Spike Serpent. Again, this art isn't crazy, but for the time, I was getting a lot better. So with each TCG, I definitely get better at art. We got Zongbat, a fan favorite, Bloodthorn Dragon, Unknown Trooper, Bag of Coins. I definitely liked how this card looked. So yeah. Type A Hocus Max, Grunt Egg, as you can see, the Grunt archetype is in this game too. So we have Grunt Scout and Grunt Overlord. Shy Outpost, my favorite card in this game. I think it looks really cool. And there was defensive cards, so you had your attack cards and defense cards, kind of like Wrath of Korzi. So again, I mainly dropped it because it was really similar to that game in a sense with that type of card. Albino Flame Bull, Zormax the Feared, Wise Eye. I really liked how this one turned out. This was actually went into Unleash TCG, which is an awesome trading card game. Or no, it went into Ecliptics, his other game, and he made it look really good. Cancel. This art definitely carried this game. I think this was probably the best looking one. Shock Staff, originally designed by Unleash TCG, so a lot of Unleash TCG stuff in here. Brain Rot, kind of just made a card that was relating to the times. Meatball Strike, Splinter Sply, one of my favorite characters of all time. Dice Cometer, this was a fun gamble card. Branton. And then these are the collab cards, so I tried to do a few collabs in this game, and this one was with Unleash TCG, so he had a major part in this game, and he always likes designing staffs. So we have Dark Skull Staff, and it didn't turn out too good because the Game Crafter makes it slightly darker, so the original looked way more vibrant. We have Clyde Viking by Stranded TCG, looks really good. Mutant Shankfish, also by Stranded, and then Shankfish by King Froggy. So we have a diverse pool of collabs. So that was this game, and that was also this game. They're both called Underworlds TCG. This is 1.0 and that's 2.0. So I hope this inspired you guys to go make your own TCGs. You know, I showed 2 different styles of making games, where you do hand-drawn and kind of make it take up the whole box without a border, and then hand-drawn with digital, but it also has a nice border finish. So yeah, if any of these elements inspire you, you know, go make some card games maybe inspired by this. I'd love to see more TCGs out there. So definitely try to like innovate. That was this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.